Welcome back, everyone. It is good to see you all. It is the end of 2025. We are, as you watch this, just a few days away from Christmas. Let's do a quick recap how 2025 went, and that will lead us to January, where we'll talk about what's coming. But I'll cut to the chase. 2025 was not a great year in the land of Adventure Otaku. Let's get into it. Okay, before I get into it, I want to first thank everyone who watched a video, everyone who liked a video, everyone who subscribed, everyone who commented. There were lots of comments. I've got a really great core group of people, and I am thankful for them every day. Comments almost never at this point are rude or angry. I've sort of trained the rude, angry people that they're wasting their time because I'm just going to delete them. So it's a really nice place to hang out, and I'm glad that everyone does. There are some bright spots to the year, but really not that many. I want to talk about sort of trips and how they went, and I want to talk about data and analytics. And I want to talk a little bit about income from YouTube and various other sources. And part of this is, just sort of give you an idea where my head is, part of this is so you can sort of see how this all works. And when it works and when it doesn't work is I want to be upfront. I've done videos where I talked about how much income I make. It's not a ton of income. I do this because I really enjoy this, and I do this because I want to help people get active in the outdoors. That was part of what screwed us up. So let's dive right in. Behind my desk in my office, I have a dry erase board. And on that dry erase board, I had trips and such. And for the most part, the trips that were planned this year failed. They didn't work. The Assateague trip got rained out. My presidential traverse, I picked up a knee injury, which fortunately wasn't too bad. I am 100% healed. My EMT course worked out. I got my EMT back, which I guess wasn't a surprise with the amount of experience that I have. But I did manage to get sick on the course. And a week or so after I got back from the course, actually, I taught a wilderness first aid course right after the course, the EMT course that I did, and got sick again, and then managed to get sick right after Thanksgiving. I have never been sick 3 times in a year in as long as I can remember, not to mention within a couple months. I have a couple theories, but in general, I think I was just worn down. So EMT went well, but took a toll. Mile-an-hour trip, much to my surprise, was successful. That I did not expect to succeed on. I didn't think my body was going to be able to do 26.2 miles, and it was really not a problem. I did it. It was relatively easy, except for the exhaustion of going for 24 hours. So that trip worked well. And every June, I do a month-long trip with my wife in the van. We had to cut that one short because of our dog, who wasn't doing well in the van. She's getting old. And so it was just, for adventures, it was just not a great year. Still had amazing times. It was great to paddle with Will and Joni. Had an amazing trip, even though the weather was bad. I didn't get as much paddling in this year because I spent so much time running to train for other trips. And as I said, that's part of our problem. We'll get to that. After we talk about analytics, I want to talk about sort of my theories as to why we had some problems this year. I should say the gear room is an absolute mess. I'm working on a first aid kit project, which we'll discuss next year. So I apologize. The gear room is a mess. I want to talk about subscribers first. My subscriber goal for the year was to break 10,000, which would have been less subscribers than I did last year. I should say, and I'm looking below you to see notes, I have doubled subscribers every year since I started this. This was the first year that I didn't. So in 2024, I picked up 3,549 new subscribers. In 2025, I picked up 2,426 subscribers. Now, as I said, we'll discuss theories on why I think that occurred. On the bright side, 350,000 views, 27,000 watch hours. I think that's amazing that 350,000 times people came to this channel to watch a video that I created is incredibly flattering. I am thankful to every one of you. If you could all hit subscribe and like, that would be awesome. 27,000 watch hours, 27,000 hours of watching me talk about outdoor stuff is just incredible. I get revenue from 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different sources. That's book sales, that's affiliate links, that's coffee, that's YouTube. Affiliate links actually come from 2 different places. And I'll tell you, I did $3,671.58 in revenue in 2025, which is down 18% from 2024. Subscribers is down 31% from last year. We'll get to why. I think why in just a few minutes. I produced 71 videos, which was down just a little bit from 77 the year before. And now I want to break out, because I think this is part of the problem. I want to break out what those videos were about. The biggest topic of things that we talked about was gear. I did 21 gear related videos, 8 first aid related videos, 15 paddle related videos, 5 what I'm calling other adventure, so adventures other than paddling, 6 housekeeping, which is videos like this, 8 other that kind of just didn't fit in any place else, and 8 videos that were outdoor skills besides paddling. My count might be off a little bit here because I had to sort of do this manually. I have said over and over again, I don't want this channel to be gear focused. There are lots of channels that do that well. I don't think I do that particularly well. All I can really do is give you my spin, what I think on a piece of gear, but I tend to forget things. It's just the nature of the beast. So I don't want this channel to be gear related. I want it to be more experience related. Part of the problem was that I did more gear videos than I wanted. Part of the problem, I think, was that I was focusing on adventures other than my core viewers, which are paddlers. 2 things that I want to focus on in 2026 are more kayaking. I want to do more trips and more skills that are kayaking related, and more first aid. I think something that I do better than most, based on my experience, and that it's very niche, is first aid related stuff, is wilderness medicine stuff. I haven't seen videos from someone with my skill set. I think most of the people that are doing videos about that sort of stuff come from a military tactical background, and that I am not interested in, other than the science that we get from military and tactical. That is a good source of data, which I do really enjoy, but I don't want to get into that realm because it's not where my expertise lies. So I want to pump back up those other 2 things, and I think that that will help part of our problem, but that's not all of our problem. I do still want to talk about other things, but I'm going to make it less of a focus. I want to get everyone outdoors experiencing adventures in the outdoors, and anything I can do to help that is great, but I spent more time this year talking about running and hiking than I did paddling, and that's not good for this channel. And the way that I know this is that 50% of my top 10 videos, and I'm going to put down below links to the top 10 videos for 2025, 50% of those videos were kayaking videos. I think that says a lot. 4 were gear related. 1 was REI, and this is interesting. The one that was REI was in January, so the very beginning of the year, and it was about REI dropping experiences, which was a big part of the year in terms of failure as well. That video got 30,000 views, gave me 257 subscribers, if only they were all like that. And if you're wondering, $168 in income. It was my highest video in terms of views, but not my highest video in terms of revenue. Getting in and out of your kayak made the most revenue at $252. That video was released in 2024. Speaking of, 4 of the top 10 videos were released in 2025, 3 in 2024, 2 in 2023, 1 in 2022. I like that spread because it tells me that people are going back through older videos, which helps revenue, but also means that people are enjoying the content. So I'm really cool with that. As I said, 71 videos in 2025, down from 77 in 24 and 75 in 2023. I'm cool with that too. That's relatively even in terms of number of videos. That's a lot of content created. I'm okay with being off by 6 or 4, depending on what you're comparing to. Okay, let's talk a little bit about why I think numbers are down. And for the record, pretty much everything is down about 20%. Revenue is down 14%. Subscribers were down 30%. But all other metrics were down around 20%. But let's talk about why I think that is happening. It is cold in the gear room today. I had heaters going, and it is cold, which is not great for the gear, but at least the humidity is fairly stable. Okay, so why are numbers down so much? I think that there's a number of things going on. I think some of them are out of my control. I think some of them were mistakes that I made. The mistakes that I made were trying to broaden my viewer base into other adventures. Thereby, I think my kayaking viewers, when they got to a video that was not paddling, they started watching, if at all, and then were like, nah, I'm not interested in this. I'm going to move on. So I suspect that was a big part of the problem. And as I said, we're going to sort of turn those tables. I'm still going to talk about other adventures, focus a little bit less on running, both in my life and in videos, and more on cycling. That's going to be much lower down in terms of content and the number of videos I create compared to paddling. And so I think that I just sort of cut off my primary viewers by trying to broaden out the base. I'm still going to continue to broaden the base, but I'm going to do it much slower. I dove right in and was excited to do other things. Literally the first couple videos of 2025 were hiking. The first two videos of the year were getting ready for your first hike and gear for your first hike, which didn't get great views. Fortunately, then in January, REI played its little game and stopped all WFAs, which cost me a lot of money as well. January was saved by that, but that should have been an indicator that that was a mistake. I stuck through it through the year to see if it would work. I don't think it particularly worked. We're going to sort of rejigger things. As I said, I want to talk more about first aid kits. I think that's something that I do well. I think that isn't something that gets amazing views, but I enjoy it enough and it gets enough comments from folks that I think that it's worth spending the time on. And it's also something that I'd like to build. With that in mind, the gear room is a mess because I'm working on a first aid kit project, and it's taken a toll. But I'm really excited by this first aid kit project, and we'll talk about that the very beginning of January. The part of this that I think is out of my control is algorithmic, for lack of a better word. Interested to see that more and more people are watching my videos on TVs. I think that's interesting. It's TVs, then mobile, then computers and tablets and stuff like that. I think that that's really interesting. And I'm not sure why that's occurring. I don't think that that is an Adventure Otaku thing. I think that that is the way people are consuming content thing. I also think that there is, in terms of sales, I think that decrease was a couple of things. I earned a lot less money on Amazon book sales this year. And I think it's because I moved most of my electronic books to Ko-fi so that they were easier downloads and would work on any device. And I didn't have to give 70% of my income to Amazon. But I think I don't talk enough about what's on Ko-fi. So if you're looking for stuff of mine, if you're looking for books, if you're looking for gear lists, if you're looking for risk management stuff, if you're looking for stickers, if you're looking for soap notes, if you're looking for the Guides Way, which is hundreds of tips and tricks from a life working in the outdoors, all that stuff is on Ko-fi. I don't think anything is more than $10. Most of it is less than that, significantly less than that. I need to be talking about that stuff more as I'm delving now into sponsors, working with Will, which I'm really excited about in 2026. I need to be viewing myself as a sponsor as well, and need to be doing like a quick 30-second spot. Hey, check out this thing on Ko-fi. Ko-fi, if you're unaware, is a website you can go to where you can buy me a cup of coffee for $4. You can just give me $4 and as a thank you for the work that I do for 71 videos and 300,000 views. Or you can buy stuff from me as well. All that's on Ko-fi. Links are down below. I need to be better about talking about that stuff. So I think that's a failure on my part, but I think there is also traffic in general. I think across YouTube is down, and I'm not sure why that is. I have some theories. So I think those are the reasons, and we're going to do our best in 2026 to rectify those reasons. In particular, by talking more about paddling, I did not spend nearly enough time in a boat the last third of the year, and that needs to be fixed because I'm a happier person, human, when I'm in a boat. I did 21 gear videos. There will always be gear videos. Gear is part of what we do. Gear is sort of where I live. I just don't want it to be the focus, but there will still be gear videos. In particular, one of the first will be, I finally, after years of hemming and hawing and debating, made a radio purchase. I bought a new VHF radio. We'll be talking about that in detail. So as I said, in January, I want to lay out the works of what is coming in 2026. I am already planning trips and booking WFA courses and things like that through. Right now, I'm looking out into June, believe it or not. If there is a video you want to see, if there is a kayaking skills video, if there is an adventure video, if there is something related to those that you want to see, put it down in the comments below. If you've got a theory as to why revenue and views were down this year, let me hear it down below. I did get someone who commented recently that they think part of the problem was the name Adventure Otaku. At this point, I can't change that name. That wouldn't explain why there was a decrease 2025 to 2024. So yeah, I'm not changing the name Adventure Otaku. I fully admit that a lot of people don't know what it means, and that's the nature of the beast. If you don't know what it means, I'll put it right down here. And I would also say whenever someone reports back to me that they know what it means, they're usually wrong. This person was also wrong. So that's the nature of the beast. I came up with the Otaku name a long time ago. It used to just be Paddling Otaku. I wanted to broaden it out when I released my book Go, which is a trip planning book, and I changed it to Adventure. So I still like the name. You know, the problem with anything when you use it for decades, which I have at this point, used otaku for decades, is you get sick of it. And I'm still not sick of it. I think it works. Yeah, it fights itself, or it fights me from time to time because people don't know what it means. But okay, that's our breakdown of 2025. This is the last video I'm going to do in 2025. I'm going to take a little bit of a break and see some family over the holidays. The next video I think will be January 4th. Is that the first Sunday in January? I think it'll be January 4th, which will be laying out what's coming ahead in 2026. A lot of big things are going on. And I know I say that all the time, but it's usually true. Thank you to everyone who has liked, subscribed, hyped, commented, bought me a coffee, bought gear. You're all amazing people. I am thrilled to have you in my lives. I'm thrilled to read comments. Yeah, and I'm super excited for 2026 and to have all that interaction, which is what this is about. Enjoy your holidays. Enjoy your New Year's. I'll see you in 2026.